Beneath the ancient dome of St. Peter's, a decision has been made that could redefine the Catholic Church's heartbeat in America. Why did Pope Leo XIV act with lightning speed to replace a cherished bishop in Newark? And what hidden forces within the Vatican's secretive chambers are steering the Church toward a radical new dawn? In the vibrant, gritty heart of Newark, New Jersey, a seismic shift is unfolding within the Archdiocese, a spiritual home to over 1.3 million Catholics navigating the complexities of urban life, cultural diversity, and a yearning for authentic faith. On May 30th, 2025, the Vatican issued a deceptively simple announcement. Pope Leo XIV had accepted the resignation of Bishop Gregory Studeris, a beloved figure whose steady hand guided the diocese through decades of change, and simultaneously named Father Pedro Bismarck Chow as his successor. To the untrained eye, this might seem like a routine ecclesiastical update, a mere line item in the Vatican's daily bulletin. But for those who listen closely to the pulse of the Church, this moment carries the weight of destiny. The precision of the timing, the selection of a humble priest from Newark's margins, and the Vatican's uncharacteristic silence speak volumes. This is not just a changing of the guard. It is a bold stroke in a larger tapestry of reform, woven by a pope determined to realign the Church with the raw, unfiltered call of the gospel. To grasp the full significance of this transition, we must peel back the layers of the Vatican's intricate decision-making process, honor the legacy of Bishop Studeris, and uncover the quiet heroism of Father Chow, whose appointment heralds a new era for Newark and the global Catholic community. The Archdiocese of Newark is a microcosm of the modern Church, a mosaic of Latino, African American, Asian, and European communities, where skyscrapers cast shadows over struggling neighborhoods and ancient liturgies resonate in bilingual parishes. Bishop Gregory Studeris, ordained a priest in 1980 and elevated to auxiliary bishop in 2020, was a cornerstone of this diocese. At 77, he had surpassed the canonical retirement age of 75, a milestone at which bishops submit their resignations to Rome, though many continue serving, especially in dioceses as stable as Newark. Studeris was no firebrand. His ministry was defined by gentle consistency, a pastoral presence that earned him the affection of clergy and laity alike. Under Cardinal Joseph Tobin, he oversaw parishes, confirmed thousands of youth, and supported ministries that bridged cultural divides. He visited homes in Elizabeth, blessed businesses in Jersey City, and listened to the concerns of priests in late-night rectory conversations. His leadership was not about headlines, but about showing up, day after day, Mass after Mass. His resignation, announced without ceremony, marks the end of an era, but its timing raises questions. Why now, when his steady hand could still serve? Why pair his exit with the immediate naming of a successor? The answer lies in the Vatican's deliberate strategy and the rise of a priest whose life embodies the Church's future. Father Pedro Bismarck Chow, born in Managua, Nicaragua, in 1964, is an unlikely candidate for the episcopal spotlight. His early years were shaped by the chaos of political unrest, a family uprooted by violence, and the quiet strength of faith that carried them to the United States. Newark became their refuge, its unfamiliar streets and English language a challenge met with resilience. Chow's calling was not born of ambition, but of a deep desire to serve those on the margins. His academic path reflects this: a bachelor's degree in psychology from Seton Hall University in 2004, followed by a master's in professional counseling in 2021, equipped him to understand the human heart, its wounds, its hopes, its search for meaning. Ordained on May 24, 2008, Chow's priesthood was a tapestry of small, sacred acts, As parochial vicar at Our Lady of Mount Virgin in Garfield from 2008 to 2012, he walked neighborhood blocks, knocked on doors, and cheered at youth soccer games, earning trust through presence. From 2012 to 2015, as Associate Director of the Catholic Youth Organization and Youth Ministries, he poured himself into young people, organizing retreats where teens grappled with faith in a skeptical world. Chow's ministry extended to college campuses, where he served as chaplain at the New Jersey Institute of Technology and Rutgers University. Students flocked to his office, not for dogmatic lectures, but for honest conversations about doubt, love, and purpose. One undergraduate recalled him sitting cross-legged on the floor, listening as she poured out her fears about the future. "He didn't fix it," she said, "but he stayed." As rector of the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart from 2020, Chow transformed the Gothic masterpiece into a spiritual haven. His homilies, seamlessly blending English and Spanish, spoke to Salvadoran grandmothers, urban teens, and weary commuters alike. He learned sign language to minister to the deaf community, ensuring they felt seen in a church that often overlooked them. He served as chaplain for the Order of Malta, taught as an adjunct professor at Seton Hall, and engaged Latino Catholics through the Viencuentro initiative, amplifying their voices in a diocese where they are a growing majority. In 2017, his peers appointed him to the Priest Personnel Board, and later as Cathedral Rector, roles that recognized his rare blend of humility and authority. The Vatican's decision to name Chow as auxiliary bishop is a masterstroke of Pope Leo XIV's reform-driven papacy. Elected in May 2025 after Pope Francis's death, Leo, formerly Cardinal Robert Prevost, brings a singular perspective from his tenure as prefect of the Dicastery for Bishops. This role immersed him in the global episcopate, vetting candidates like Chow with a keen eye for pastoral authenticity. The Dicastery for Bishops, a linchpin of Vatican governance, operates with surgical precision. It compiles dossiers through consultations with local bishops, apostolic nuncios, and lay representatives, often proposing a terna, a list of 3 candidates for each vacancy. These reports assess a priest's theology, leadership, and ability to navigate complex diocesan needs. The process is steeped in prayer, reflecting the Church's belief that appointments are guided by the Holy Spirit. Yet, it is also a human endeavor, shaped by bureaucratic rigor and strategic foresight. The Pope holds final authority, but his decisions draw on this collaborative framework, ensuring alignment with both local realities and the Vatican's global vision. The speed of Chow's appointment, announced the same day as Studarus's resignation, suggests a level of intentionality rare in episcopal transitions. Typically, such decisions unfold over months, with resignations accepted and successors named separately. Leo's decisiveness reflects his broader agenda, evident in his first 19 days as Pope. He has launched initiatives that redefine the Church's posture. Barefoot processions for bishops to recall Christ's vulnerability, opening Vatican gardens to the homeless as a sanctuary of dignity, and stripping papal vestments of gold and velvet to emphasize simplicity. These are not mere gestures, but a theological statement, echoing the 2024 Synod on synodality's call for a church that listens, adapts, and empowers local communities. Leo's push for a carbon-neutral Vatican and decentralized diocesan authority further underscores his vision: a church that breathes with the poor, the young, and the forgotten, unburdened by the weight of bureaucracy. Chow's selection fits this mold with prophetic precision. His Nicaraguan roots and bilingual ministry make him a bridge for Newark's diverse faithful, where nearly half the Catholic population is Latino. His work with youth, late-night confessions, pizza-fueled retreats, equips him to engage a generation drifting from institutional religion. His outreach to the homeless, once seen distributing blankets near Penn Station, aligns with Leo's gospel-centric focus. A parishioner recalled Chow sitting with a shoeless man, speaking softly in Spanish, a moment that led the man to the cathedral weeks later, transformed. His ministry to the deaf, learning their language to offer Mass, reflects a church that sees every soul as sacred. Cardinal Tobin praised Chow's deep faith and considerable pastoral experience. But these words only hint at the man who kneels with the grieving, counsels the uncertain, and serves without seeking applause. This transition is not without its challenges. Studerus's departure marks the end of a traditional leadership model, reserved, institutional, and rooted in a church that once commanded cultural authority. Some may find Chow's relational, less formal style jarring, particularly in a diocese accustomed to Studerus's measured approach. His bilingual homilies and emphasis on marginalized communities could unsettle those who prefer a more hierarchical, English-centric liturgy. The Vatican's push for decentralization, granting dioceses greater autonomy in pastoral decisions, raises concerns about doctrinal consistency, but also offers hope for a church that responds to local wounds, poverty, mental health, cultural division, with tailored compassion. Independent Catholic commentators, from blogs to outlets like EEWTN, have greeted the appointment with a mix of optimism and caution, urging prayer for discernment as Newark navigates this shift. The broader context of Leo's papacy adds depth to this moment. His reforms are not about dismantling tradition, but reclaiming its essence. The Barefoot Bishops initiative, mocked by some as performative, has moved participants to tears, reminding them of Christ's humility. The Vatican Gardens, once reserved for dignitaries, now shelter the homeless, a silent rebuke to worldly power. Leo's reduction of ornate vestments, choosing a wooden cross over jeweled mitres, speaks to a church that values truth over trappings. These acts, combined with his appointment of pastors like Chow, form a pattern. A church that walks with its people, not above them. The 2024 Synod emphasized synodality, collaboration between clergy and laity, and Leo is implementing this by elevating shepherds who listen before they lead. His environmental initiatives, aiming for a carbon-neutral Vatican by 2030, echo Pope Francis's Laudato Si, framing stewardship as a spiritual mandate. These reforms, subtle yet seismic, are reshaping the Church from the ground up, one appointment at a time. Newark's future under Chow promises both continuity and transformation. The Cathedral Basilica, a Gothic jewel, will remain the diocese's spiritual lung, but Chow's leadership will likely deepen its mission. His youth ministry experience will bolster programs that empower teens to face a secular world with faith. His advocacy for the poor will challenge Newark's Catholics to live the gospel's call to justice, perhaps through expanded outreach to the homeless or immigrant communities. His bilingual ministry will ensure the Mass feels like home for Spanish-speaking parishioners, whose numbers are growing. Yet, Chow's commitment to the Eucharist, hours spent in adoration, and the sacrament of confession grounds his progressive approach in the Church's timeless truths. He once told seminarians, "The altar is where we meet God, but the streets are where we bring Him." This vision will shape Newark's parishes, schools, and ministries, inviting the faithful to a faith that is both deeply personal and boldly communal. The Vatican's decision-making, though veiled in secrecy, is a dance of faith and pragmatism. The dicastery for bishops, guided by prayer and rigorous vetting, ensures candidates like Chow are not chosen lightly. Leo's familiarity with the global episcopate, honed as prefect, allowed him to act swiftly, bypassing the usual delays. This speed reflects a pope who trusts the Spirit's timing, even when it unsettles. The lack of fanfare, a single line in a bulletin, belies the appointment's significance, aligning with Leo's preference for substance over spectacle. Historical parallels abound. Pope John Paul II's elevation of obscure pastors to cardinalates, or Francis's focus on peripheral voices, show the Vatican's knack for surprises that prove providential. Chow's appointment, like these, is a whisper of the Spirit, nudging the Church toward renewal. This moment is not without tension. Some fear that decentralization risks fragmenting the Church's unity, while others see it as a return to the early Church's communal model. Chow's inclusive approach may spark resistance from those who prefer traditional liturgies or a more clerical posture. Yet, his ability to bridge cultures, English and Spanish, young and old, affluent and poor, offers hope for a diocese craving connection. The faithful are called to pray for Studerus, whose legacy of quiet service endures, and for Chow, who steps into a role heavy with expectation. Above all, they are called to pray for Pope Leo XIV, a mystic in motion, steering the Church through uncharted waters with a vision rooted in Christ's humility. As Newark prepares to welcome Bishop-elect Chow, the Cathedral Basilica stands ready to host his ordination, a moment that will blend solemnity with joy. This is not just a new bishop, but a new direction. A church that kneels in the pain of its people, rises in their hope, and walks beside them in faith. Leo's reforms, from Vatican gardens to Newark's streets, are building a church that listens, loves, and lives the gospel. The Spirit is moving, and Newark is its proving ground. Pray for this diocese, for its shepherds, and for a pope whose quiet earthquakes are shaking the Church awake. This is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of something sacred, and every Catholic is invited to be part of it.